What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Chats with the Freak. I know it's been a while. It's been a hot fucking minute. This year has not been nice to me, but I'm ready to say bye-bye to 2022 and hello to 2023 with the end of the year live stream. I know it's a little earlier than we usually do this, but like I said, this year has not been nice to me. So I'm just ready to say deuces to 2022. And I got an awesome panel of people ready to come on, and I'll kind of do a recap on this year and do some other promo stuff. And we're going to talk about our top albums of this year too, because there was some dope music that came out this year. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised with what my favorite album was this year, because it's pretty obvious. But I have some other cool little contenders that I think some of you guys are going to like. So let me start bringing in the panel of awesome people. We got Joseph from Phil Harvest. There we go. Okay, cool. We do have some tricklers that'll be coming in a little bit. Nathan James, Korazik, Zosha West, and some other people will be trickling in too. So you never know who's going to stop in. I got one special guest that might come in. We don't know yet. How's everybody doing tonight?
All right, how are you?
Good.
Peachy.
Awesome.
Everybody's peachy. So how, like I said, it's the end of the year live stream I do every year. So again, thank you guys so much for coming on. Oh, we got another guest that popped in. Oh, Greg's here. Bet.
Hello, Greg.
Hey, Greg.
What's happening?
Greg has made it. Hey, our lead reviewer has finally made the end of the year live stream that I tried to get you on last year, homie, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was trying to get my laptop to charge, and it's not charging, so I'm doing this on my phone.
Yeah. And the Queen has made it too. What's up, Z?
Hi, how are you?
I love that Z was like, she messaged me. She was like, "Am I gonna be? Is it okay if I'm a couple minutes late?" I'm like, "Queens are never late."
Listen, dude, listen. This is how much I love you. I'm literally out with my family right now. I was like, I have to go and do this live stream in the car, so I look super sketched right now.
Emmy, don't feed her with that.
Berg's like, her ego is big enough. She does not need that right now.
I sleep on the edge of the bed because of that.
That's because of the dogs. That's not cousin me.
Z's tiny enough anyway, so like that's not even.
She's
How much
5'2",
room is
but
she taking up
sleeps like
realistically
Andre the
anyway?
fucking giant, okay?
I'm single and I still sleep on the edge of the bed because of the dogs. So I'm with Z.
See?
It's all talk, but they just expand.
Yeah, you need to give them room. You know.
You blame it on the dogs. We'll go from there.
Where's this live at so I can send links to people?
It is on EMSU Media on YouTube and on Facebook.
Okay.
We are live right now. I think we got a couple people tuned in, but nobody's been. The last time I did a live stream, I had a bunch of people talking shit in the comments, so I'm excited to see if that happens again.
It wouldn't be the internet without that.
Yeah, no, you can't have a live stream without like at least a little bit of shit talking for sure.
I can't remember what exactly the dude said, but I just remember he was like cringe. It's like, oh.
I just remember it was me, you, and Chanel, one of the other reviewers here at EMSU Media. We were talking about Winger for like a half an hour. And somebody was like, wait, I don't remember what he said. It's just something about like this is like
an all-female version of something, but I can't remember what that something is.
Yeah, it was like the all-female version of something, but it was really funny. Whatever it was, I actually thought that was funny. I was like, that's kind of quirky. I appreciate that. Oh my god. So I guess let's start with kind of look back on this year. Obviously, I met Joe this year, he's kind of my token. Like I met you this year because we met at Creatures Fest back in May. But I don't know who wants to really start that. But does anybody have any thoughts or any highlights of the year they kind of want to share?
Highlights of the year?
Yeah,
there's like too many good albums to make a top five
this year, I guess.
You're asking a hard question, man. I mean, I guess for us, like, What? We went on 2 Toursburg and we didn't break down. Like that's a win.
Cellophane's doing well, so I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's a win.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll take that. I'm all like, hey, we didn't break down.
The bus didn't break down this time. That is always a positive.
And we didn't have a fatality in 20.
We didn't have a fatality.
Player.
Oh man, player.
I mean, this show wouldn't be fitting without your friendly neighborhood Walmart Don Dokken lookalike Korazik.
So we're rocking with Dokken in 2022.
They got a new album coming out next year.
Yeah, that's right. And
It's gonna suck.
not if I redo the vocals, player.
Don Dokken, he's coming for your job, player.
I'm waiting for that call up, but in the meantime, I've been working on my crops, in the fields in Lancaster, because I'm like low key Amish now.
Low-key Amish.
You moved to Pennsylvania, and it's like, yeah.
I moved to PA, and I was like, I'm not going to be Jewish anymore. I'll just be Amish.
I'm about ready to go get my Amish hat.
Or you
One
can
move
never
up to the
shake the
mountains and
Jewish man.
churning
You
butter.
can never shake the Jewish.
No, I can't because I'm drinking an off-brand Dr. Pepper now. It's called Dr. Weiss. What you guys know about Dr. Weiss?
What happened to Mr. Pibb?
Well, I ran out of Pib, and I didn't want to support that bastard Dr. Pepper because he's been giving everybody diabetes and
So we're basically at this point, we're just doing all of the off brands of Dr. Pepper. So it's like any off brand that has ever happened is going to be.
Man, have you ever, speaking of which, you ever feel the thunder of
That's
Dr. Thunder?
Dr. Thunder, yeah.
Legit. I even wrote a song about it.
That's good.
The next single from Korazik is going to be about Dr. Thunder. It's like God of Thunder, but about Dr. Pepper.
I mean, anything could be a hit these days, right?
Oh my god.
Just on TikTok.
I got company over here.
Aww.
Oh, sweet.
Poopers.
I love it.
But yeah, right before you hopped on, Core, we were kind of talking about like reflections on kind of this year and like highlights and stuff. And I kind of casually mentioned Creatures Fest for a minute when I was talking to Joe. Obviously, Creatures Fest was a big highlight for a couple of us on this live stream this year because that was a pretty cool event.
Yeah, it was fantastic because they were just like, yeah, Don Dokken's too expensive, but we can get Korazik. So they were like, oh, he just wants some Dr. Thunder. We can afford that. No. Creatures Fest was fantastic. I opened up Friday night. It was me and then John Corabi and then, the gem that is Chips Enough from Enough's Enough. And then Ace Frehley with Peter Criss. So that was pretty cool. Pretty good. And through that we got really cool Ace Frehley's camp. So I've been like his opening band for a lot of his dates this year. So that's been fun. It's been fun. I never played a casino before, and playing a casino is cool because you can like order a steak and then not eat it later. It's
Casino shows have been wild because not only with you, I've been working like some casino shows, like especially with like Panther and stuff, and like those are just a different vibe, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I didn't know how I felt about casino shows until we came into this year.
Look, you gotta understand something. There takes some sort of privilege to be able to order a steak and then not even eat it if you decide you don't want to, because it's all right. It's a casino. It's already paid for with Native American blood money. It's already it's already covered. Oh, and also too, on my rider, I get towels. You don't know what it's like to get a towel. When you get your first free towel,
he's really living that Don Dokken life right now. So, and what he's trying to say here.
Hey, there's nothing like having a fresh stage towel.
Yes,
That's
nothing
right.
like
True story.
a fresh stage towel and a fresh steak that you don't eat because you ordered too much.
You can just go in there and order pork chops.
Oh my god. That is so funny, Jesus. So obviously, Joe, I mentioned a little bit about Creatures Fest. I know you guys obviously played that with quarantine, but what else have you had going on other than that weekend of Creatures Fest?
Oh, we've had all sorts of crazy shit happening. So we're working on new music with Jericho and those guys, and got another show coming up. But it's actually Jericho's cruise on Norwegian Cruise Line. It's Jericho Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea, it's called. So we're prepping for that. We do rehearsals soon. Also, I do a I don't know. It's a band with Charlie Benante. Have you guys ever heard of Classic 78?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So me, Charlie Benante, and another friend of ours, we're lucky enough to get a #1 album on Apple or on iTunes earlier this year. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we've had all sorts of fun shit. A lot of it is Kiss related. It always seems like Kiss is the connection here, you know.
Yeah.
And like Cora, I've seen you twice now. Once at Creatures Fest, and I saw you in Hudson Falls, New York, a few weeks ago. I didn't get a chance to say hello, but
yeah, you caught a good one, man. I really, that was actually my favorite show of the year, believe it or not, was the Hudson Falls show.
Hudson Falls. Where did you play in Hudson?
The Strand Theater.
Yeah.
Yep. And, I grew up in Lake George.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, I used to hang out in Hudson Falls all the time. Played there with my teenage band. Just really,
I don't know. I just thought it was funny when I looked on the map. I'm like, Glen Falls, isn't that like where Hacksaw Jim Duggan is from?
It is where Hacksaw Jim Duggan went to my Catholic elementary school.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Do they have like a lot of wood laying around there? Or?
I was gonna say,
there was the Falls had a sawmill actually, like right up until the 1980s when they closed it down.
Really?
Yep.
Holy moly!
Oh man.
Yeah, so we've been doing all sorts of fun stuff. A lot of Kiss related stuff, obviously, but do some solo work and session work and all sorts of stuff.
Just kind of bouncing around, kind of doing whatever pops up, basically.
Exactly.
Really crazy how for so many musicians from big to small, how it all seems to come back to Kiss.
Yeah, it's like the 6 degrees of like Kevin Bacon, but like with Kiss.
That's right.
True.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
That was such a good analogy.
Thank you.
So
I just came up with it, but I'm gonna pretend like I worked on that for weeks. So thank you.
Pretty good.
Man, you're a natural, man. I've been working on all these jokes for the last 2 days.
But Cor, listen. You know, because of your lineage, you are naturally funny.
Right. Yes, I was circumcised, so I have lots of jokes to
Thank
work
you
off
for
of.
anybody who is wondering.
I mean, allegedly, I don't know.
That's the next single.
All right.
That's the collab.
That's the collab.
Layer.
Oh my god.
Layer.
So I guess we'll start into the albums if you guys are ready for that. If you guys are ready to kind of talk about your top album picks. I don't know who. Because I think I gave you guys all options to do top 3 or top 5. I know I did 5 and Greg did 5.
I got an honorable
Okay.
mention that was a 2021/22 release.
Why? Yeah.
Wait, there was homework for this? I only got the link.
That's my fault, Em. That's my fault.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say, I'm a little
basically, it's
unprepared,
okay,
too.
Berg. You can kind of wing this one. It's just basically we're gonna be talking about like our top like album picks of the year. So it's just like whatever came out this year that you kind of like were vibing with. If you tell me you haven't listened to any new music since Whitesnake came out, I'm gonna fight you.
I heard a new band the other day that sounded like Whitesnake. I can't remember what.
I have listened to a lot of Whitesnake this year, though. I was kind of on a Whitesnake kick this year. There's John Sykes is freaking amazing. I love him.
Whitesnake's my band, man. Berg gives me shit about that all the time. Whitesnake's my shit. I fucking love Whitesnake.
No.
Snapchat.
You specifically said to me, "Why do people think I am older than I am?" I was like, "Because it's your infinity for Whitesnake."
I've met a lot of chicks that like the White Snake.
Oh my god.
I
Where's
literally
somebody with a
instantly
rim
just
shot
stared for
for-
Jess's reaction when you said that because I knew she was going to do the face.
And that's Core's third single.
Yeah.
That's gonna be his collab with Steel Panther. It'll be like the girl's like this white snake.
He's just gonna come out with a new EP called Fallacy, but it's PH instead of F.
There you go.
I love that. I love that. You need to give her royalties for that.
Let's do
It's
it.
been documented, yo.
It's been documented. It's on the internet. You can't take it back.
Okay, so like I said, I know Greg did 5. Core, I think you did 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jess, what did you do?
I ended up doing 5 too.
You did what?
5.
Okay. And Joe, what did you come up
I'm
with?
totally unprepared. I had no idea.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna shoot from the hip.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Well, on a good note, Fozzy did come out with an album this year, so we're just gonna throw that in there.
It's pretty badass. Oh,
Okay, and then Joseph, you kind of got some honorable mentions.
Yeah, with a 4th that actually came out in like November of 21.
Okay, that works. I have an EP in here just because I'm weird, and we'll get into that.
Man, that's cheating.
What? An EP?
There's EP and there's LP. I thought we're
More
doing
than one
LP.
song.
Come on.
It came out this year.
If
It's
that's the
Weezer,
case, I might as well be like, yo,
Weezer
I like.
breaks all the rules. I will
Well,
fight
nah,
this to
because
death.
then I
It's
could
my
be like-
show. I can do what I want.
I'm just saying, because then I could be like, yo, my number 5 is like some mumble rapper from California who made like a minute and 43-second song. Like I could just put
If it was
that on
really
the.
cool, then nominate him,
You
man.
can.
That's fine.
Speaking of rappers,
No, fuck that guy.
honorable mention to Mount Westmore.
Wow.
What?
Snoop, Ice Cube, and Too Short. Anyway,
So who's gonna start this dumb ass fucking?
Okay,
thing?
so I guess I'm going to start this. I'll start off with number 5. I ended up going with Alter Bridge's new release, Pawns and
album.
Kings. That album
Mhm.
slapped very hard. It was very heavy coming from Alter Bridge. I feel like Jess probably ranked that a little higher. I know it's on her list because I heard I had way too much to like.
I was actually at a 4 for that one, so we were actually
Okay.
at the same spot.
Okay, yeah. That album it was really heavy. I feel like March Street and Monte, and I'm sure some of you guys that are at least familiar with Alter Bridge and Creed and all that. Like Mark Tremonti is one of the fucking most talented guitar players, in my opinion. I think he's fucking great, and I feel like that album just was like heavy in the best way possible without being obnoxious. So that's my pick. I think Holiday's a bop. That should have been a single. So that's where I stand with 5. Who wants to go next?
I guess I could go with my number 5. I didn't get to review it because I ended up having all my stupid like gallbladder crap come up. But a really good album that I wanted to review. It was Generation Mind by Black Swan.
True.
Red Beach.
Red Beach, Red Beach, exactly.
Erase the slate.
Yeah, of course, Winger.
Fucking Winger.
And Dokken.
Don't go back to Kiss or Winger, man. That's just
He's
how
on the
it
one
goes.
Dokken record player. Don't forget about that.
Erase the Slate was a badass album.
Erase the slate. Yeah, that's fucking fire, man.
Pretty lit. It's pretty lit.
I
All
got
right,
that on
Greg, what do you got for 5?
I have Black and Gold from Thunder Mother.
Mm.
Raw, bluesy oriented. 4 chicks rocking out.
I appreciate the Winger comment in the comments right now. That makes
I
me
didn't
happy.
write these jabronis anyway. Or are you like not allowed to talk to them?
It's kind of funny. All right, Cor, what did you have for number 5?
Well, I got this sophomore effort from these youngsters that I think are gonna go a long way. It's WASP, The Last Command. They got this banger called Cries in the Night. I think it's about getting canceled or something like that, which I know a lot of us could relate to. And
Armored Saint blows them off the stage.
Let's not go there, player. And then Wild Child.
At least they're probably
really,
singing. Never mind.
Wild Child's a banger. I don't know if anyone's heard that one, but
This album didn't come out this year, though, player.
oh, well, I listened to it this year.
That
Okay,
don't count, player.
You guys want something more relevant? Okay, hold on. I don't know. You heard of this guy? His name's Marilyn Manson.
Oh God, Corey, you're really trying to get canceled, aren't you?
So like, no, this record's got a bop. Track 2, if you play it backwards, it says it wasn't me, it was Kanye. I thought it was. All right. I'm just playing, but as you guys know, I like to joke around a little bit. I think the joke for me this year is that we all use Spotify, and it was kind of sad because my Spotify rap was mostly like either really old stuff or me catching up with stuff from 2021 that I may or may not have been listening to 2 years ago.
I'm right there. I had to Google a bunch of the things I wanted to put on this list and realize they all came out in 2020, and I'm just now finding out about them. We're just now talking about them.
Yeah. Like this gem, 6 Feet Under. This is some good quality death. Anyway. So
Absolutely not. We are not doing that on here.
All right. So I'm gonna do my real number 5 now, okay?
Also, before you do your number 5, I just want to share with the class that I just got a text that said, out of all Wasp albums, he picks that one.
Yeah, Cries in the Night, yo.
Continue with your number 5.
Nobody wants to get canceled. You'd be okay. Anyway, don't cancel me. I'll take it back. All right. So my number 5, which I think is a very much welcomed comeback record, much deserved, is The Gang's All Here by Skid Row.
Yeah, I really like that album.
You do like it or you don't like it?
I did. Yeah, I really
good.
love
it. No, it's just sad because like no one's cared about Skid Row until like now again. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
that's
people.
Because Eric is a freaking monster of a vocalist. He was really good even in the Heat days before he got sick.
Yeah, no, he was another one of those classic Scandinavian newer. But this record's fantastic. It's got a lot of good songs on. Hell High Water is a great way to open up the record. Obviously, The Gang's All Here. That was the kickoff single. That was fantastic. Time Bomb is a cute kind of little ditty. It's got a good music video to it. And Tear It Down is great too because they actually literally tore down a house in New Jersey for the music video. And of course, it's produced and mixed by Nick. I'm going to just call him Nick R. I don't want to butcher his Eastern European last name. That's why I changed my name. But he's a fantastic producer and writer. I mean, he's done everything from Damon Johnson's solo music to Ghost to Alice in Chains, of course, to one of my favorite 3 Days Grace records, Human. I mean, he's done a lot of great production work. And they also had some songwriting assistance on this record too by what's his name? His name is escaping me, but really good return to form. And of course, Eric is just killing it. It's on firing on all cylinders. And I'm not like one of those kind of guys like, no Sebastian Bach, no Skid Row. I think it's still the core, no pun intended, of the original band. And I think they finally kind of got their act together on this, even though I think people sleep on the Solinger records because I think Thick Skin was still a good record. But
I really appreciated their show because I had shot Warrant opening for them back in February. That was like my first shoot of this year, and I really appreciated Skid Row's set. Like I thought they, like as a band, like you can tell like the band has played together for like 20, 30 years, like whatever it is now. Like they're really still like a solid band.
Ooh, fancy. I know that you really appreciated the Monkey Business.
Yep.
What's up?
Dude, Slave to the Grind is massively underrated in like the group of 90s albums like that. That is a heavy record.
Facts. I back that.
I agree too.
Absolutely.
Corey, I appreciate how you have like the albums prepared like flashcards.
Yeah, I feel like didn't bring the one vinyl I own. It's something else.
I'm the only one that invested into this show, clearly, but that's all right. I
I
digress.
bought a ring light, player.
Yeah, I bought like 7
Emmy.
LPs, and some of them are not even from this year. So, like.
Yeah, you would have bought them anyway. That's all you've done since you moved is buy records.
I know. That's true.
So does anybody have any other
would just
honorable
like to say what I
mentions for
bring to
number
the table.
5?
Yeah, Bluest or Colt, Club Ninja. That's
I
Yeah,
got one
Dancing in
kind
the
of.
Ruins. It's also Bestie's favorite. I know he's watching. So does anybody else have any honorable mentions for number 5 for albums that came out this year?
I do, because it's a deluxe edition, but it was released last year.
What's that?
Bullet for My Valentine, if their deluxe edition is counted as new, it's number 1. But since it's 4 new songs added to the album from last year, it don't count.
That's fair. That's fair. I found that like a couple like that I was like jonesing for number 5. Like I hadn't like simmered in for a while. Like Youngblood came out with like a self-titled album this year, and I like there's like the singles off of it I really liked, but I didn't really like deep dive into it, and I kind of feel bad for that because I really genuinely like him as an artist. I was like, oh, okay, I really like this, but I don't feel like I should put it on my list because I haven't like been binge listening to it. But yeah, I find that kind of weird with some bands when they put out like new like deluxe versions, and it's like, wait, if this would have been the actual version of it, like I would have ranked that a lot higher, which I will get into in my number 4 pick if we're done with.
Hey,
Back to what you were saying, Bullet for My Valentine was my number 1 last year, and then
I do remember that.
The 4 additional songs made it even better.
That's true. What's up, Z?
Hey, I was just gonna say, like, I have to say I prevail because, like, listen, I'm like, Berg will tell you, like, I'm like the Octane Queen, so I like the mainstream like metal, but I have to say the new I Prevail album's pretty awesome. I have it on chronic rotation. That's my number 5 pick.
I have no control on the radio whenever we're driving, so anything she says, I have to.
You're like, I'm legally required to listen to this.
Yo, who's doing them death metal vocals? What's going on with that?
That's this guy over
That's
here.
Lola.
Oh, okay.
They only get worked up whenever I do stuff.
So that's who's really doing it. Okay.
Right, naturally.
They got Lola in the vocal
guest
booth. That's
features
fine.
in Heated Core.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you know, player.
I figured.
Joseph, did you have any added last comments for number 5?
Yeah, it was a last year album, but it's been heavy this year, which was 1914, Where Fear and Weapons Meet. Ukrainian World War I themed death metal band. Absolutely amazing if you don't know it.
I will have to check that out. I have not heard of that, but that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, they're amazing. Our first album was mixed by the same producer that did their first one, which was called Blind Leading the Blind, one of my favorite records in the last couple of years. And then they released one in 2021 that is incredible, super heavy, really emotional. They've got one song that's just reading a letter, an actual letter of sent to a mother who's like 17-year-old was killed in combat in World War I.
What's the name of the group?
1914.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty dope. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like that sounds really interesting. Like that kind of reminds me of like a different version of Amon Amarth. That's one of the reasons I really like them as a band, because they have like their kind of, I don't want to say theme, but they kind of have like a theme to them. So like I think that's really cool when bands kind of go about that route too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think their singer actually is an archaeologist and did his either master's or doctorate, if I remember correctly, excavating war graves from the Eastern Front in World War I, and that kind of like turned him on and inspired him to like the immense tragedy of it. Like, we don't need to look back in time to find horrible things that humans do. Like, we really do it right now. And so they documented it as part of the band. That's an incredible record.
That's really dope. I'll have to check that one out because I have not heard of it. That's the most interesting pick I've heard so far, because that's a really good one. Does anybody else want to kick off number 4? Because I feel like my number 4 is really going to be basic coming after that like dope ass shit that he just dropped. So I kind of want somebody else to go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say anything because I already said that Alter Bridge was my number 4, so I got nothing else to really.
I'll do my number 4.
Okay.
my only kind of mainstream one on my list. Gift from the Holy Ghost from Dorothy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good album.
That was really good. Yeah.
I feel like Dorothy's band is super tight too, and I feel like that even just like empowers her even more, you know, as an artist. Like she's a great artist to begin with, and then when she has her band with her, like it's just insane.
Isn't what's his name from Faster in her band?
Yeah, yeah, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam from Faster is in her band. Her band's fantastic. Like she has so many great players that play with her. No pun intended.
Player.
You want to go up next, player?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I skipped the honorable mentions. So these are two
we can
records.
Come back to that too.
Yeah, well, I'll do those real quickly. Like these are records that like could have been in my top 5, but for like whatever reason, when they came out, I kind of just jammed on one or two songs and didn't really dive into the whole record, so I couldn't really put it in my top 5. So that would be Explosions by 3 Days Grace. So if anyone's noticed, I'm kind of a weird like rock head. Like it's either like super 80s metal or it's like modern like new metal butt rock. So which you'll see more of that later. But yeah, I'm sure this is a great record, but I only really listened to a few of the tracks, so maybe I'll dive into it later, but couldn't do that. And my other honorable mention, which had a lot of promise, was Shinedown Planet Zero. This has got a lot of great tracks in it, but it unfortunately it fell victim to coming out kind of earlier in the year, where like I kind of listened to it and then didn't keep listening to it, so it kind of came up and fell off quickly. But it's actually a very good record. So I think it's a little bit more it's futuristic, but I think it's a little bit more hard rocking than their last record. I think it's a little bit more real to me. So anyway, so my number 4 is Megadeth, The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. And I am a longtime Megadeth fan, and that's probably where you get some of the heavier end of what my band does, really is from my influence with Megadeth. I mean, I played a King V, and I really just studied that kind of shredding, picking style of Mustaine.
I have a Dave Ellefson's signature model Jackson sitting like a foot away from me that I'm using to track the new Fell Harvest album. So
that's so, I have a crazy story. I was on tour with Nita Strauss back in 19.
Nita's amazing.
He's the best. And we said for that tour, we need to do a shredder. We need to show off a little bit. So we were playing Hangar 18 as a cover, because it's get in, get out. It's 2 verses really, and then the band shreds. So after second chorus, I just dip, and the band plays. And leading up to this Nashville show, Nita's camp kept saying, you guys better be on your A game for that Nashville show. And I'm like, what is this all about? So anyway, we get to Nashville and we're doing Hangar 18. I do my 2 verses and I bounce, and I go backstage, and it's literally like a scene out of the movie. Nita's manager boyfriend opens up the door. He's like, "Yo, Core, come here." And the door opens really slow, and there's David Ellefson literally watching us play fucking Hangar 18. So that was like really a dream come true. And it was really weird because Kiko was also there, and I was asking him about some stuff that the band was going to do, because they were supposed to do Euthanasia on Halloween. Oh, that's so sick, dude.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, "Hey, Kiko, you guys are doing Euthanasia for Halloween. That's so cool. That's like my favorite record." And he was just like, yeah. He kind of like second guessed it. And then like 2 days later, that's when they announced that Mustaine had cancer. So it was so weird how they were all in Nashville. They were actually working on what became this record. Obviously, they took Ellefson's tracks off, which I still think is kind of stupid. And it's funny because I'll be kind of honest with you. I hate to be that fan, but for some reason that really actually, even though this still made my top 5, it actually did turn me off to this record just a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And I agree. And I think that was Steve DiGiorgio, right? Yeah. And I mean, he's one of my all-time favorite bassists, but you don't, like, he's not playing fretless. He's not doing like the normal Steve stuff on it. So,
and I don't know who took these photographs, but they're god awful photos. I mean, Dave just looks sick, and I don't know if that's the whole point, but it's just, I don't know. But
It wasn't the
anyway,
vibe.
It is a
Protect the dying and the dead. Maybe it was intentional.
yeah, they wanted him. I mean, you'd think they try to clean him up or something, but nonetheless, it's a great record. Megadeth is still probably in my top 10 bands of all time, so they almost kind of make this list by default. They probably make my top 5 anytime they do put out a record by default. But I only have it at number 4 because as good as it is, maybe I'm a little bit numb to the band at this point in my career because I'm a different type of metalhead. You know, I really like sick riffs, just like the next guy, but I love hooks. Anyone that knows my music knows that my stuff is very hooky. It's catchy. And I'm like a weirdo, you know, if you say, you know, what are some of your favorite Megadeth records? Well, they would be probably like Euthanasia and Cryptic Writings, you know, just because I like the hooks. I like the heavy riffs with the hooks. So now that Dave's getting older, I guess he feels he's got to show that he's still got the gusto. You know, his voice is not what it used to be, so he can't sing some of those more melodic things. So they're just going more straight, you know, end game Rust in Peace. So it's very shreddy. But Night Stalkers is fantastic. The Sick, the Dying, the Dead is great. Junkie is a fun one. Mission to Mars is kind of one of those weird kind of him trying to be more catchy, so I kind of dig it. And of course, We'll Be Back is fantastic.
Yeah, that album was going to be like one of my honorable mentions because I didn't really even know that album came out, and like the little bit I did listen to it, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's kind of weird about the whole Ellefson thing, but yeah, I feel like that album, if I could just have simmered in that album a little bit more, it probably would have made my list.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a very solid record, but you know, I don't even know where I would rank it in the full discography. Honestly,
I only listened to it one time this year, which is why it didn't make my list. But when I listened to it, I put on the first track and then just forgot about it and listened to the entire thing straight through. And it still has that grab. Right.
I mean, it's a good listen through, but some of it's just kind of background music, so to speak. Still thought Dystopia was a fantastic record, and that holds up very high to me. But you know, my number 4 nonetheless, you know.
Okay.
Wasn't too much to choose from this year, I guess.
So I'm going to feel basic as fuck right now because my number 4 and Jeff's probably already eye rolling. I'm going to preface this with this kind of like what Greg and I were talking about earlier. This would have probably made it a little higher, but she released like a later version of this album that had more tracks on it. And if like that was the album that I was like ranking, I would have been like, okay, that's higher up. But Midnights by Taylor Swift, everybody knows my obnoxious ass been over here like shooting metal shows being like, I'm in my Taylor Swift era because I'm fucking annoying. Honestly though, Midnights as a whole record is a very interesting concept record of just midnight thoughts, which I think is really fucking cool. Obviously, like Midnight Rain. I know Anti-Hero has been being blasted on the radio until people want to just roll their fucking ears out. But like, I just feel like that album as a concept record, as the full like deluxe 3 a.m. edition is fucking amazing. Paris, High Infidelity, just a fucking great album. And I feel like it's very like it is a pop album, but I feel like it's very versatile in the tracks of not everything just has that obnoxious fucking pop shit in your ears. And I feel like it's some of her best lyric work that she's done yet. So that is my number 4 pick is Midnights. And now I'm done being basic until I get to number 1.
I haven't heard it yet, but I did really like Folklore and I like Taylor Swift. So
yeah, no, Folklore was great. I really liked Evermore, which was like kind of like the second album after that. I have not been a diehard Taylor Swift fan by any means, so I don't want anybody labeling me as that. She's more of like kind of like post 2020, like when she came out with Folklore and Evermore. Like when those came out, I was like, okay, I can fuck with this.
But it's
like,
true.
Anything like pre that, like I couldn't really, I wasn't really into it.
She really grew out of the like teeny bopper like pop kid to a really mature artist who can write actual songs and do really good work.
It's true.
Yeah, I remember I played like a bunch of like the new album, like kind of to some like my older friends like to give me shit, and they were just kind of like, "Oh, this is actually like really like thought out lyrically." I was like, "Yeah, I know, like it's not just some bullshit."
But that's the thing, like post 2020. That's why it happened, because she was locked in the house in the pandemic, and then finally realized that she's the problem. It's not all the guys that she's dating.
It's that's why she wrote Anti-Hero. Like,
Exactly.
hey, it's me.
No, but no, on the real though, I was actually very impressed with some of her newer work. I mean, there is some substance to it. So, I mean, she's already made the money. I'm sure she can play whatever the hell she wants now anyway. So,
yeah. You can kind of make the same argument about the Beatles, man. Like, they did some really simplistic stuff in their early days, and then once they had the money, they were like, all right, we're gonna do crazy stuff. We're gonna do crazy harmonies. We're gonna get all these like sitars, and we're gonna do synths and do really push the boundaries now, because it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. They had the freedom to do that.
I was wrong.
true.
And fucking Mike and all my friends are grown up. Taylor Swift is the equivalent of EMSU's cheat day when you diet. That's accurate. Oh my god. So we're getting ready to bust into the top 3. Jess, do you want to kind of lead the number 3 off?
You're passing the baton. We're doing this like elementary school style. You get the baton.
Who gets the baton right now?
Well, what I had written down was Black Veil Bride's The Morning EP, but if we're not going to count EPs,
well, I'm counting EPs. Number 2 is EPs. We're counting EPs.
So as far as if we're counting an EP, the Black Veil Bride's EP, and if we have to pick an album, then I would pick Giant's newest album that came out in January, because that was the first one that you had me review back in January. It was shit. Why did I blank on the name? I am the worst. I reviewed this and it was great. I've had like 5 songs stuck in my head and I don't remember the name of the damn album. Why is that it? Shifting Time. That's what it was. I knew it was time. I forgot about the shifting word. So Shifting Time. It's one of those AOR, really AOR heavy records, but they've got so many catchy songs that I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Spotify was like, "Are you all right?" Because of how many times some of the songs would loop because they wouldn't get out of my head. And Black Veil, it was just nice to listen to them again and hear how they matured. Because when I listened to them more often, when my friend who really, really loved them was still alive, that was back in like 2013 when they were doing like Wretched and Divine and just kind of like figuring out who they were, what they wanted to do, starting off with concepts. So since I hadn't listened to them in like almost 10 years, it was really cool to see that Andy's improved vocally. All the band's still solid musically. The songwriting's gotten better. Even when I saw them live, they're still really good. So up there.
Fantastic. No, Black Veil is great. And I remember we got that EP like early and I was like, oh, this is actually really fucking dope. Like I just remember I put it on in the car immediately. I was like vibing. I was like, okay, this is really fucking dope.
It's funny. They actually were in my top 5 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, their last album was in the top 5 last year for you.
But I don't know why. It's weird. A lot of times when bands come out with EPs, I don't know why. I hate to say it. I'm that guy. I sometimes kind of disregard it. I'm just like, oh, it's just, it's like filler. And it's not always the case,
I can see where you're coming from. Like one of my favorite songs ever is Rebellion by Samuel, which was the title track from an EP that would never have existed if they didn't do it. So sometimes it's just, they get the chance to do a little niche idea and it comes out really cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Greg, do you want to pop in with your number 3?
Well, since we're talking EPs, I'm going to throw another honorable mention before I give my number 3, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Nixons, I don't know if anybody remembers them from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
They put out a new EP this year called Kaleidoscope. I'm sure the singer wrote 1 or 2 Taylor Swift songs too. Anyway, great EP. They were just in Washington, PA with who the hell were they with? Everclear a few months ago. I missed it. I wanted to go just for them. But anyway, great album.
They were with Everclear? That's so weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, their drummer is actually Seether's drummer.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if they're both touring at the same time, the drummer's son plays drums instead. Anyway, On to number 3. Machine Head of Kingdom and Crown. Phenomenal, like classic Machine Head sound. The first song, like if you listen to it, like it's slow and mellow for like 4.5 minutes. The first song is like an opus. It's like 12 minutes long. And then it just gets like in your face. It's like 2 different songs in one. Overall, great album. I can't think of song titles off the top of my head, but it's been playing nonstop since it came out.
No, that is a great pick. That was a really, really good record.
Love it.
We actually were scheduled to play a show in Casper, Wyoming, and then Machine Head was coming there on their tour, which is just them, no openers. They're just playing like a 3-hour set by themselves.
I was just going to say Pittsburgh, the last time they were in Pittsburgh, it was a makeup show. And they ended up playing for like 3 hours and 20 minutes, just that.
Yeah. Now, and like the promoter was like, "Do you still want to do this?" I'm like, "No, if I'm driving to Casper, I'm going to go to the show, not try to play."
Yeah, I mean, if it's Casper, Wyoming, the whole town is at that show, you know?
Exactly. Like,
what is that, like 13 people?
Yeah. And a squirrel that looks like Abraham Lincoln.
And the friendly ghost.
And like 1,500 cattle.
They can buy tickets. Still counts.
Have all the cows show up. It'll be fun.
It's probably like most Machine Head shows, right?
Oh my god. Joseph, do you have any honorable mentions for number 3?
Yeah, so I do an honorable mention for number 4 because it was a 2021 album, but Stormkeep, Tales of Other Time, they're a local Denver band, but it's actually like guys from like Wayfarer and Blood Incantation and a couple of people that I knew when I lived down there. Really amazing stuff. It's got like a melodic black metal vibe that's kind of reminds you of like Old Man's Child, but also like some summoning style like synths and really, really cool shit. Absolutely love that album. It came out in November of 21, so I'm going to call it a 22 album, and I've listened to it a lot this year. And then my pick for number 3 is a great record, but one you've got to be in the mood for, which was Spirit of Ecstasy by Imperial Triumphant. Really dissonant, jazzy death metal with one of the singles had a solo on clarinet from Kenny G, like the actual Kenny G. Crazy stuff, but it's not like, even for me, and I listen to a lot of really crazy heavy stuff, not for every day, but when you're in the right mood, it hits the spot and it's really well done.
Lit. That sounds dope though. I feel like that, and Jess and I were talking about that. I don't want to like ruin any of her future picks by saying this, but like I was talking to her about like certain albums and like specifically like Lamb of God. Like she's been on a major Lamb of God kick. And I don't know if Tim's watching, but hi Tim if you're watching. Majorly like I have to be like in the mood for that to be like in my car, be like I'm gonna like knowingly put Lamb of God on. So it's like I feel like it's like kind of like that where it's like I have to be in the mood for this, so I'm just gonna put this on real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you're somehow in the mood for like angry but not rage, somehow in the mood for yeah, Imperial Triumphant is great because they're great at dissonance, really a lot of like just these painful 7, 9, 11 chords kind of deal going on. But great hooks when you can really dig into it, great tones, great orchestration, awesome band.
Awesome, that sounds dope. And I also don't want to miss the introduction. Clay has finally joined us. How are you, man?
I guess I'm late.
I think, well, you're in Nashville, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
technically you're about on time.
Well, great.
That's fine. You didn't miss much. We're number 3 on our picks, so you didn't. Yeah, you missed a Don Dokken rant, and that was about it.
All right.
Oh, don't forget about the hate against Dr. Pepper. We
talked about Dr. Pepper, Dokken, and Winger. That was about it.
Okay, what does everybody have against Dr. Pepper?
Nothing. I'm just a weirdo, and I choose Pib over Pepper, and then
everybody's got their thing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to drink Sundrop like my life depended on it, and then it's
Is that
like
generic Mountain Dew?
No, it doesn't taste like Mountain Dew.
it's like Mountain Dew on steroids, man.
Yeah,
And
it's
A, Joe made it back. I thought you dipped on me, homie.
No, I'm still here. I had to go for a second.
All
Still
good.
there?
All good. Do you have any added comments now that I've brought Clay into kind of the group? Do you have any added comments on any music that came out this year? Before I get in, me and Core get into our number 3 picks.
Yeah, there was some cool stuff that you guys mentioned. Some of the stuff I want to check out there, like that band 1914. I don't know where you're at in the countdown here, but I do want to make a mention of kind of a stock answer, but Ozzy Osbourne's Patient Number 9 is pretty cool. It's kind of growing on me.
Gotta love Ozzy.
Yeah.
Ozzy's always great. Ozzy's always right. Like there's no missing that.
He is still the king, man.
Right.
I don't care how old that man gets, he's still the king and kills it, and I adore that man. That guy, I saw him. I saw him live like a bunch of festivals in 2016, and he just even still like at like his age then, he was fucking killing it. It's like how
93.
Oh, I could tell you how.
He was like incredible.
I was gonna say, how many of you guys are actually old enough to see the first No More Tours tour?
I think I caught the tail end of No More Tours and then I saw the Osmosis tour. So yeah,
I've never seen Ozzy because every time I went to Ozfest, he was just sick. I don't know why. Like every time I would go, it's like something happened, and I would just have to sit, and then I have to sit through 2 hours of Korn that I didn't want to sit through.
Speaking of Osmosis, Mr. Tinker Train's like my favorite.
That is a jam.
My favorite bass warm-up song.
Yeah, no, that's a great song. I love the No More Tears album as a whole is just incredible. That's like Zach. I think that's Zach in his prime. Like he's got the melody, he's got the heaviness, he's got the like pinch harmonics at will in places you can't do them, but it just awesome stuff.
I also just realized we have 3 bass players in here.
All right.
I was like, wait a second. Like I was like connecting the dots. I was like, wait, we got a lot of bass players.
It's all about the bass.
Right.
Oh my god. So Clay, do you have any added comments for any music that came out? We're at number 3 on our picks. Core and I still have our picks to kind of go, but
yeah, I was really into the new Alter Bridge stuff that came out. I thought it was awesome. The guitar.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. That new album was just so good. Like Holiday was probably my favorite song off that. I know it's like one of those random like B-sides, like it's towards the end of the record, but I was like, this fucking slaps.
It's Silver Tongue was just that song blew my mind. That and Sin After Sin, and I think Holiday may have been the next song on there after that. I can't remember, but yeah, it's just insane. And I remember years ago, Tremonti was in an interview talking about how he had like hundreds of songs already like just demoed out on guitars. So it's just like an infinite amount of songs that are going to pump out whatever project he has. He just has an insane amount of stuff just backlogged.
Which is crazy because he can just keep popping that stuff out until like the end of time almost at this point. It's crazy to me how much backlog. Because I had him on the podcast earlier this year when he did that Frank Sinatra like cover album, and like it's crazy to me how just not only with rock music but in general how like knowledgeable he is about music. It's just like, oh shit, okay, like that's really like it's cool like to know like the genre that you play in, but like when people start bringing up other stuff from other genres, like, oh shit, okay, this is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, that's really the only new stuff that really stuck out to me. I have a bad habit of going back and listening to all my favorite bands like from the 80s, and I don't listen to anything else for a while. So like it's hard.
Yeah,
that's fair. He was talking about Wasp earlier. He was like, "Oh, this is my number 5." I was like, "Okay."
Well, that was like my whole joke that I was trying to make. It's like, what are your top 5 albums of this year? It's like they could be stuff that didn't come out this year that you've just been like I've just been on a Wasp kick. I've been listening to Last Command and Headless Children,
Emmy, you should do a like best albums of your teens and let us all date ourselves.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Mine's just gonna be all Fall Out Boy albums, but I'm okay with that.
If we were going on core logic, then all the Sabotage reissues that I got this year on vinyl were my top 5.
Oh, he got up. I'm scared now.
Uh-oh.
You got them all too?
He's perusing his collection now.
Yeah, he's just like, wait, what else got reissued this year that I can bring up right now? Well, I guess while he's away, I will give my number 3 pick. And this shouldn't be what is that?
It's Gutter Ballet by Sabotage.
No.
Oh my god.
It's Sabotage, aka Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yep. Which I actually didn't realize that they were the same people until I was like 30 years old.
Fair.
Want to see them Saturday?
I missed that detail, and I thought they were like 2 separate bands. Nope, they're the same people.
I knew
Christmas
about
Eve Sarajevo was actually recorded on Dead Winter Dead from Sabotage before it got released as Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yep.
I knew about TCI before Sabotage because like my family had the Christmas CD when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know, you know.
Damn, I'm old.
Has anyone checked out the new Creatures of the Night box set?
I have, and it's pretty dope. It's pretty fucking dope.
I kind of want to, honestly. I do like me some Kiss.
I'm going to tell you right now that the bonus tracks, they have like so much. They loaded that thing up. I'm not usually a deluxe edition kind of guy on any album, but I will say that they dug deep for this one, and they put in all sorts of cool little, like bonus tracks. They had like some alternate mixes from the album. They had some demos that Gene did. Some of them get pretty crazy. You could tell he was listening to a lot of Genesis or something in some of those.
Isn't there like an early version of Not for the Innocent or something like that?
Yes, and it's 10 times better than the Lick It Up version because Paul and him go back and forth.
Oh wow!
It really has some serious like drive to it. You know what I mean? It's like just a rawness that you just have. Whenever you cut a demo, usually you get that energy. You're so
that's
excited.
the problem I've been having lately is like, me and the guys are working on new music and we're doing these demos, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I know they're not mixed and mastered, but they just, I don't know. Can it really get? Sometimes the demo is better.
So yeah, you totally get that vibe. You're so hungry and want to release the track and psyched about it, and that energy gets captured on tape.
That's what the first Skid Row record is. Actually, they like after they actually went into the real studio, they ended up just taking the demos instead.
Wow, cool
factoid.
Stuff.
But it's kind of insane when you hear like the quality of that record. It's kind of like, wait, how the fuck was this just a bunch of demos?
They probably still mixed and mastered it, but
still, like it's still demos, though. You know what I mean?
It's still so tight, though. It's like, yeah,
that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking insane. It was totally insane. But Corey, do you want to go with your number 2 pick?
No, I'm at number 3.
Wait, are we at 2 or 3?
I thought we were going
I'm at number 3, and before I do my number 3, I'll throw another honorable mention. I didn't put it in my top 5 just because this is an anomaly, because some of it came out in 21, some of it came out in 22. But one of my favorite bands from Finland, Lordi, they were very ambitious, and they made like 7 freaking records. It's like
I was on that.
You?
Yeah, I'm on Skeletric.
The industrial one.
Nope, it was the 70s Kiss sounding one. Once again, it all goes back to Kiss.
Everything goes back to Kiss. It's fine.
No makeup.
Kiss or Winger.
Makeup Kiss.
Yeah, I have that. They Mr. Lordy sent me the box set after we did it.
Oh my god!
But yeah, I played on that, man.
That is so cool because it's just there's the problem is it's so many records.
It is
to pick one, and there's a lot of good key track. The disco record is really amusing. I mean, that was just like what the hell, but it was great.
Kiss did one of those.
Yeah, Abusement Park was really cool. Borderline was cool.
Yeah, they so much great stuff. It was almost overwhelming, like you said. Like I had a hard time really kind of focusing. I'd already been burnt out on the stuff that I did, and I did 7 tracks of them, I think, And,
Wow.
And then I just was like, but when I got the whole set, I got to listen to everything because I didn't get to, work on everything. So I listened to, it was like a British heavy metal kind of vibe. And the disco one was kind of wild or whatever you want.
I just don't know like how or why they decided to do that, because I think it was just maybe too much. I don't know how the record performed sales wise or review wise, but just very. I mean, I think that's why the guitar player probably left after that. He was probably like a kid,
exhausted, emotionally,
exhausted.
And physically, mentally exhausted. Yeah,
that's crazy. But anywho, so for my number 3, getting back into the new metal butt rock category, this is a band that I've always liked. Their second record was definitely the record of the year back then, where the CD got so overplayed. And I've tuned in and out of this band over the years. In fact, their last record I just could not get into. So this just snuck in because it just came out recently. But I was generally optimistic about listening to them again. It's a very divisive band, no pun intended. But we're talking about the new Disturbed record, Divisive. Fantastic record. I think it's a return to form for them. I felt that the last record was a little too I don't want to use a
little too yama-nama-na.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say overproduced because I mean that's kind of what the style of new metal is. It is overproduced. Even though the drum triggers are fantastic on this, that they actually slap in a good way. But Hey You is great. Bad Man's great. The whole first side is fantastic. Feeding the Fire I really like. There's even
with Ann Wilson.
Yeah. Don't Tell Me with Ann Wilson, and I got some really really cool artwork, and I'm always a fan of green vinyl. Love green vinyl. That's why anytime I can get an Overkill record, I'm like, oh, green. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, oh, look at the colors. But no, it's well produced, mastered by Sterling Sound as usual. In fact, it's crazy. Almost every record on my top 5 were all mastered by Ted Jensen. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that, but I thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, it's the first time in a while that I've been excited about a Disturbed record. So I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a good listen from start to finish. So go Disturbed, player.
I was very interested to see that they came out with a new album this year. I kind of thought that was interesting because I find like pockets of Disturbed interesting, kind of like you, where I like dip in and out of Disturbed's library. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but I definitely do fuck with them a little bit.
Well, it's just weird because I feel like it's some strange way I'm very much influenced by them, even though people wouldn't expect that. I don't know if it's the low-key Jew in me, but sometimes me and David Draymond can almost sound low-key similar, especially in some of the stuff I'm doing on the new record. But yeah, I mean I'm from that heyday when nu metal first came out in the scene. I mean, Believe was like me and my friend's record that year. We just played the shit out of that record.
So I keep getting this comment, what on earth is butt rock?
I think butt rock, it could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but I think butt rock is just like, polished, produced, party, radio. It could be Disturbed for some people. It's certainly Five Finger Death Punch for many. It could be Buck Cherry for some,
Yeah. You hang out for
Either Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, that era.
Yeah, I got a lot of that on my list. So
yeah. Which I also love all of those guys, especially Breaking Ben. But yeah, definitely.
Hey, anybody that knows me knows I'm an ass man. So why wouldn't I like butt rock?
Great. Yeah, next month I'm actually playing in Nashville at a butt rock tribute show.
What?
Serious. I think it's called like Jams of the Giant Peach or something like that. I forgot what they named it, but it's on January 21st.
Dude, this is why I need to come back to Nashville because it's outrageous.
Nashville is a fun place, man.
I'm on there to play a Seether song, Velvet Revolver one, and somehow Blackstone Cherry got thrown into the mix.
Love them guys.
So I'm playing that one. I think it's White Trash Millionaire.
Millionaire. I love
That's
that song.
cool. That sounds really cool, though. That like I
Finally
find
got-
those little
Dude,
like
that song
specials
in
like
my
that are really
days
interesting.
in college.
Finally got to see Blackstone Cherry live last summer, and they were fucking amazing.
They're so good. They're so good live.
You know what's funny about Blackstone Cherry? The way that guy like writes and sings, I expect him to be this like almost like how I'm looking, like some sort of like pimp Southern gentleman kind of guy, and he's just like some dude in a t-shirt. It's a little like a little of a buzzkill because like he just sounds so like jivey and like boss, you know. And then I saw like a live video, and he's just like some dude, like just like yeah, man.
They're kind of like Seether with their look to a point, because Seether's kind of like that too.
I just figured he'd have like a hat, like mad rings, you know, like just like, you know, I don't know, just
like the overly Southern vibe, Southern
like
rock
he looks
vibe.
like a dude that like has a.
You
book
think
bag
he'd
or
have like
something, you know what I mean?
like the Blacktop Mojo look, cowboy
Right.
boots on stage, you know?
Yeah.
Basically. I fucking love Blacktop. I'm excited for new music from them soon. I love Blacktop Mojo.
Always excited for new music and playing shows with them.
They're
Always a
great.
good
They're great
time.
people. So I guess we're gonna go to my number 3 pick to wrap this up. And I know Joe's obviously familiar with this guy. Boombox by Fozzy made number 3 for me. It was easy, like Nowhere to Run, Sane are all fucking bangers. Omen is a bop. I Still Burn is fucking crazy. Like that, like they haven't put out a bad album since they put music out. So I feel like anytime they put out an album, it's going to make my top 5. Like every year, it's just going to.
I'm waiting for the Sebastian Bach, Chris Jericho sing off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I listened to that Boombox album in advance, and I let the guys know instantly. I said, "This is a great album, start to finish." Usually, you know, these days, sometimes you may get a album with 1, 2 great songs if you're lucky, but this album is stacked. The songwriting, the production. I mean, top to bottom, it's an excellent album. And I hate to be, I'm not being biased. You know, even if I didn't know these guys at the level I do, I am just like beyond like jealous. Like some of those songs, like Army of One, is so well written. I'm just like, I wish I wrote that. That's so good, you know?
Yeah, no, that song is
tune.
crazy. Like I said, like fucking, like Sane is just like, yo, like where did this even come from? You know?
Yeah. But
The album is so good.
The album cover is cool too. It's kind of something different. But yeah, overall, I agree. That's a great album.
Fucking, it was one of my favorites this year, and I definitely came up in my Spotify rap that I did play. Like a couple of songs off that popped up, and I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised.
What do you think? What do you think of the cover of Relax?
I think it's interesting.
I liked it. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's.
I like it better than SOS.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I got a vibe to it. Like I said, I think anything that they kind of put out, like it's been like I don't usually dislike it, if that makes sense. Like it's like I have my favorites as everybody else does, but.
Anyone else do their number 3 yet?
Yeah, I think we
we
all wrapped, so we're ready to roll to number 2
I think I just
now.
lost everybody for a second.
Yeah. Y'all there?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
So 2?
Yeah, we're doing 2 now. So let's start with Joseph.
Sure. Okay. Sayer Origins. Scottish folk metal band. Awesome stuff. Really melodic. A lot of cool use of traditional instruments, bagpipes, different acoustic things. Great record, and it also been in rotation all the time this whole year.
Very cool, dude. You're gonna send me all of these bands so I can look them up, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't.
Like,
just send me a list, and I'm just gonna listen to it. That's my homework. Like, you guys' homework is gonna be my homework. I'm just gonna listen to all of your tunes.
We're all talking about butt rock, and he's talking about like historical like Vikings.
This is why
it's gonna be too
big. Return next year to the podcast to the end of the year live stream.
We're like drinking Budweiser, and this guy's talking about like aged cognac. You know what I mean?
Say Our Origins is an incredible record. My last one is when you really got to be in the mood for it. No, this one, this will grab you. It's got some amazing melodies. It's got some amazing rhythmic hooks. Really, really cool stuff.
I will definitely be checking that out because that sounds pretty fucking lit. Jess, you want to go with your number 2?
Yeah. As you mentioned, Lamb of God earlier, it was Omens. Number 2 is Omens. So, usually I don't end up in a Lamb of God mood very often, but like you mentioned earlier, for some reason, it's just been a thing the last few months. So I guess we're gonna roll with it. It's kind of hard to really say anything other than it's a Lamb of God record. They're the kings of if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Like, they've got a way that they write, they've got a way that they make their music, and it always fucking hits. So
No, they're so good. And again, Tim, if you're watching, what's up, homie? But yeah, they definitely they have a formula, they go with it. I remember every time I've shot them, I felt like I was gonna die. And that's part of it. That's part of the pleasure of it. It's just okay, I'm they open up with fucking Mita Mori, and it's just okay, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna die now. That first growl, it's just grabbing the stage. I'm in a security pit. I'm nope, I'm going to die.
Oh yeah, no, because if it's anything like when I was photographing Trinity of Terror, you already know that some kids' sneakers are gonna come and clock you right in the back of the head. You already know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's the photographer life of just I'm gonna brace myself for this because I know I'm gonna get hit at some point.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. Greg, what about your number 2 pick, homie?
Oh, I'm throwing another honorable mention first.
That's cool.
Spirits of Fire, because a list of mine wouldn't be a list of mine without something Sabotage related. Chris Cafferty from Sabotage, TSO, Steve DiGiorgio from Testament, Mark Zonder from Fate's Warning, and Fabio Leone. Ripper Owens actually sang on the first album.
Ripper
Owens. Rob Halford's replacement for a minute,
I love Ripper. I know Ripper very well.
Can we just state some facts? Can we just state some facts that Judas Priest Demolition is a fantastic record and people need to stop writing it off?
I don't judge replacement singers, and I'll prove that on number 2. But speaking of Sabotage related, Power of the Night tattoo right there. Anyway, my number 2, back to Core's, he don't write off Skid Row because it's not Sebastian. I don't write off Queensryche because it's not Jeff Tate. Todd LaTorre has honestly rejuvenated that band. I mean, if Jeff Tate was still singing in that band, they wouldn't be doing anything. And I love Jeff Tate, but yet another. I think last year Todd LaTorre's solo album was in my top 5. The year before that, Queensryche's last album was in my top 5. This one's in my top 5.
True.
It's not Chris DeGarmo either, right?
No, Chris DeGarmo hasn't been there since Promise Land.
He's an airline pilot now.
Yeah, he's a pilot. Scott Rockenfield's trying to stir up some Queensryche drama. I don't know what he's doing.
That's crazy.
One of my all-time, growing up, one of my favorite fucking records is Mindcrime, and Chris DeGarmo's songwriting is a huge influence on me. Got me to explore chord progressions, got me to explore a lot of cool stuff. And so Tate, it's still Queensryche, but without Chris,
Well, at some point,
Michael Wilson,
the same.
The problem is that for a while
DeGarmo wrote a lot together, harmonies and all that stuff. So I mean, it wasn't just DeGarmo writing this stuff. So
yeah, I was gonna say in that weird middle period, it just seemed like Tate kind of took over, and they just kind of got awkwardly mild.
Promised Land, Y2, whatever that one was. Operation Mindcrime 2 was garbage.
Yeah, that was not a good sequel.
The highlight of that album was the part with Ronnie James Dio.
Jess, you good over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Corey, you want to go with number 2?
Yeah, well, so before I get to my number 2, I'm just going to do a couple of random honorable mentions. I'm just looking at my bitch ass Spotify. Well, for whatever it's worth, like Dope, they came out with a couple of songs very recently. Kind of panned on that, but Dope are my boys, so just give a shout out to them. Single wise, Smashing Pumpkins came out with Beguiled, which I thought was
That's such a good song.
I love that song. We went to see them in Pittsburgh. They were fantastic. Of course, self-indulgent, being that Billy Corgan is who he is. So they did a couple of tracks that were not necessary. And Autumn, or whatever the hell it's called, Act 1, I can't get into it, and it's very disappointing. I mean, I respect that artists want to, like, do different things, but I just don't know why Corgan can't just give us what we want. Like, just give us that classic 90s, like, you know, distorted overdrive guitar, and just give us some cool rock songs. You know, I don't know why he's got to keep doing this like artsy goth new wave crap, but nonetheless, Beguiled is fantastic. Crash Diet came out with a new record this year. For some reason, it didn't grab me as like some of their other records, but love those guys. So shout out to them. Let's see what else is on here. Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so back to my number 2. It's something that we already had discussed. We got Fozzy Boombox. There it is. Very cool artwork.
That show had mentioned the artwork on that is fucking dope. And I know, like, I don't know if it's in like all of the versions of it, but the photo that they did of the band on the inside is actually really dope.
Yeah, I mean, unlike the Megadeth, you know, this is a very cool photo. You got PJ chilling on the trash can. This was a great record, and again, you know, some of the songs had been technically released prior to 22, but Pure Fire is a cool jam that I really like. I really like Ugly on the Inside, and most people don't mention that song, but I think that's a really cool jam. Obviously, Nowhere to Run, which we already knew. Sane is fantastic. I mean, again, Johnny Andrews is an amazing producer and songwriter. I mean, he hasn't answered my emails yet, but hopefully someday he'll help me write a hit song too. You know, I'm sure he's busy, but yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed. I mean, Judas was a great record too. I'd love to tour Fozzy someday. You know, I mean, I've opened up for them back in the day. I think on the the Sin and Bones tour. I think I opened up for them. But yeah, they've always been one of my favorite bands. You know, does it help that Jericho's the singer and I'm also a wrestling fan? Yeah, but the music is good, man. And that's kind of what I'm aspiring to do on my new record. Is just, you know, catchy new rock songs. You know, that's my number 2.
Solid. Lit. So I guess I'll go with my number 2. Well, let me throw out some honorable mentions since you guys have been doing that. One of them is Panic at the Disco's new record, Viva Las Vengeance. The reason that didn't make my list is because I think the mix on it is absolutely fucking terrible. I think Brendan just sounds like he's singing in like a fucking talk box and like not in a good way. But I think generally like the songs are really good. Like the song about middle of a breakup is a fucking bop. Obviously, like the title track off of it's fucking great. But I just think the mix on it's kind of weird. His vocals are kind of in like a weird spot. So that's why I didn't really make my list. And obviously, Core mentioned some singles. Dope, as he said, put out some singles that were fucking great. And my boys in Steel Panther obviously have put out a couple singles that have been fucking great. And I'm very excited for that new album coming out in February. So going to my number 2 pick, it's the EP that breaks the rules. I don't care. I got to shoot these guys back in September. I was very geeked out about it. Autumn by Weezer, I was fucking amazing. It came out while they were at Firefly, and I love this fucking EP. I Can't Dance, Don't Ask Me is fucking great. It's a bop. Tastes Like Pain is a bop. They're like, one of my friends said that they're middle school virgin rock, and I don't give a shit because I fucking love Weezer. They're putting out a winter EP thing, and I think it's kind of cool that they're doing like these seasonal kind of like EP vibes. But Autumn, number 2, definitely. It was 7 songs, so I feel like that technically could be an album. But so good. It was so good.
If it's 7 songs, I think it depending on what the length is.
Yeah,
Man,
it was listed as an EP, but I'm like, it's 7 songs, so it's an album. So like, yeah, I that's why I included it. But yeah, it's so fucking good. But it was so funny because they put out the album, the EP, and then like the next day, the Smashing Pumpkins were like, "Oh, we're releasing an album also called Autumn." Like, okay, Billy Corgan was like, "Nah, man, fuck you guys."
7 songs could be an LP. You just put a bunch of bad skits, and then you can call it a
I mean,
full
Dream
album.
Theater like records 3 songs and it's a full length. So
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
It's like a 3-hour album at that point. Yeah. Well, Clay and Joe, do you guys have any comments before we start busting into our number 1 picks of 2022?
No, the only comment I have is I have a hell of a year, and I did not get to listen and check out a lot of new stuff, which I've been a big Alter Bridge fan since forever anyway. I mean, as soon as I heard they were releasing anything, I've got to check it out. But I had a lot of shows and I was moving and all this stuff this year. It's been wild.
You've had definitely a crazy year. I was glad that to see it kind of back out playing, doing the shit that we all love to do, being out there with everybody.
One thing I'll
stuff to listen to.
One thing I'll mention is Stripers.
Down from
Stripers released a lot of new music this year, and it was actually pretty damn good. So
Stripers always pretty damn good though.
Stripers' new album's
yeah,
I see them play on the Kiss cruise this year, and like they were probably one of the tightest bands there. They blew.
Dude,
they're so good.
He still has just an absolute killer voice. Such a tight guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely nuts. So does anybody want to start us off with our number 1 pick of 2022? Not everybody at once.
I guess I'll volunteer, whatever.
Okay.
I guess since the honorable mentions I've been going through, I guess I'll just mention some singles that I was really into. Obviously, I was into Savior 2 because I was really into that Black Veil EP. Really good song. One of my favorite songs that came out this year was also Without Me by Dayseeker. Dayseeker is such a good band. They're a little more like metal in the sense of like Warped Tour kids, I would say, probably. But they are very solid. The musicianship is very good. Vocals are very good. I was really into Greenish Blues off of Steve Vai's new album. Anything Steve Vai does, I just love it. He's a master on a guitar. He makes it sing. And probably the only other thing, single wise, is probably Changes by Randy Klein and Alex Skolnick. It's actually a jazz track. It's jazz guitar and jazz piano. And it was just beautifully composed. It was actually almost nominated for a Grammy too, which is pretty freaking wild, but that was good. My number 1 album I went with was Scoring the End of the World by Motionless in White. I've been so into Motionless since about 2012, so a few years late to the party because I grew up around where they grew up and they started. So, you know, Emma's living around where they're based out of practically now too. So it's like, it's been insane knowing that they're basically, in a sense, hometown boys, and they're just putting out shit that slaps so hard, like Slaughterhouse and Masterpiece on this album. Like, just so fucking good. And just seeing them succeed has been so awesome. Like, when I went to that Trinity of Terror show, it was the first time they ever got to play the amphitheater. And that was like a dream they had since they were kids, you know. Another Life Off of Disguise from a few years ago that went gold this year. So it's just a really fucking good album. It's well produced, and I'm just super proud of those guys. It's been awesome to watch them over the years.
No, Slaughterhouse a banger. I remember I heard that song and I was like, Jesus Christ. Like I was in my car. I was like, whoa, y'all gotta calm down. But yeah, no, that album's great. That album is fantastic. Joseph, do you want to go with your number 1 pick?
Sure. I bet most of you struggled with your number 1. I did not. It was no contest.
I did not either. So yeah, no.
Behold the Monolith from the Fathomless Deep's absolute God mode album. Super sludgy, super doomy, really slow, just like painful, drawn out, thick, heavy notes. And yet there's an amazing amount of melody, an amazing amount of harmonization, incredible lead work, great clean sections. The vocals are growly and evil and also just really perfectly pitched. Like they did everything right for a doom metal band, and I will keep listening to that one forever. It is an absolute classic in my opinion.
And another album I'm adding to the mental list of stuff I have to search up because I like doomy music, but I have not heard of them, so I have to definitely.
Oh, they're incredible. I think they're from like Oregon or something, but that record just
bet
me away.
If you want
for a while, but yeah, the new one just absolutely. That was one of 2 albums I bought on vinyl this year.
If you want more doomy stuff, check out Spirit Adrift.
Oh yeah, I like Spirit Adrift a lot. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I've seen
them with COC a couple weeks ago.
I'll have to check them out for sure.
I play in a doom metal band, so yes, I like doomy stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Greg, you want to go with your number 1?
Sure, I'm throwing in more honorables first.
That's cool.
All right, so since work was busy as hell this year, and I think I only did 1 review all year, DVL, Devil, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, they are very Avenged Sevenfold-ish. I think they were from Sweden, if I recall, somewhere over there. Anyway, great album. Check it out. Can't remember what it's called, but it was a great album. That's an honorable mention. And also, I got to throw in a couple local-ish shout-outs that I try to avoid putting on my top lists because other local bands get butthurt that I didn't include them. But Iron Flame put out a new album. That's members of Brimstone Coven, Icarus Witch.
Fucking love those guys.
And also my cousin put out an album. They're from Akron, called Skeptic Lens. Like total progressive, like amazing album. And then my number 1, none of you probably ever heard of, Emperors and Fools from Ashes of Heirs.
Yep, that's new to me.
No.
American, they're power metal. Figure, I mean, it's like 80s sounding, but with a more modern, like vocal style. You know what I mean? So I just discovered them this year. They've been around for a minute, kind of like last year with like Witherfall. I discovered them and they've been around for a minute. So Spotify Release Radar is an amazing thing. That's all.
Okay.
Cool. Corey, you want to go with your number 1 pick and then I'll close it out?
All right. So yeah, my last honorable mention. It was officially released this year, but it's a interesting story. The artist Tim Skold, who is
Shotgun Messiah.
Right, Shotgun Messiah, Cam FDM, and Marilyn Manson. He came out with a record called Dead God. It's actually some of my favorite work of his, but it's a very interesting story. The record was made in the earlier 2000s. It was somewhere between Golden Age of Grotesque and Eat Me, Drink Me. And it was actually swimming around the internet as the new Marilyn Manson record. It was actually labeled as a new Manson record. So me and other people were downloading it, thinking that it was like this, leaked Manson record.
Did you get that LimeWire?
Huh?
Did you get it off LimeWire?
Probably. Yeah, LimeWire, Kazaa. I don't know. But it was great. It wasn't fully produced, but it was great. And then nothing ever came of it. And then Eat Me, Drink Me came out, and clearly that wasn't the record. And then it finally was revealed later on. No, it was Tim Skold, because like it almost sounded like Manson on those songs. Like Tim kind of had that kind of thing going on. And then I guess he finally, for whatever reason, like officially finished producing it, and it came out this year. So
I remember when he released the first single off that this year.
Don't Pray for Me.
it was right after all the Manson stuff came about.
Yep.
And if you listen to those lyrics, you would think that song was about Manson.
Yeah, but no, like I said, that
Like,
stuff was written in the mid
and,
2000s.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It probably wasn't, but
No, I had a version. Like I said, I had a
right
version
after.
of it. Yeah, I had a version of that record like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So no, it's older, but it's some of his best work, and it was very cool that it came out. But again, I think the demo versions might actually sound better than the record, but still, it was still cool that it finally came out. So anywho, my number one, which for me was not, didn't have a doubt in my mind that this would be the number one. It's Ghost, Impera. Love this record. I think it's fantastic. I mean, I'm probably one of those Ghost fans that actually likes the more kind of melodic and poppy as they get. Even though their Doomy side's great, I like what they're doing. You know, they're doing like it's like ABBA and Sabbath and BOC and Metallica all kind of like blended into one.
I absolutely love Ghost, but the more recent stuff has lost some bit of energy to me. So yeah, like that would have been on my list, but I just didn't. I liked it. I just didn't love it the way I love most other Ghost stuff.
That's fair. I mean, for me, I just think this record's got so many good freaking melodies that I wish I wrote. Spillways is
like
as hell.
every Ghost song I hear, I wish I wrote. Like they're phenomenal. Like Tobias, just like that man can put a song together.
Yeah, he's still a mystery to me. But you know, "Watcher in the Sky" was one of my top played songs for the year. And obviously, "Call Me Little Sunshine" was great. "Hunter's Moon" is great. But yeah, "Watcher in the Sky" and "Spillways" have just become two of my favorite songs for this year. So this was definitely gonna be number one, no matter what. Because like I said, this year was weird, and I don't know how you guys feel, but as a fellow musician, I think a lot of times, as much as we love music, that's why we got into doing this. You know, we're kind of focusing on our own stuff, trying to do our thing, and sometimes it's hard to just be a fanboy and be on the pulse of what's going on. And I feel ever since the pandemic, it's been that much more of a struggle to get back in the game. So you're even more not tuning in. And I don't know. I just feel like for 20 and 21, a lot of music just went under the radar. I was worrying about trying to get back out there and being stuck at home, that a lot of new stuff came out. It didn't feel as valid. LPs felt like EPs for me, if that makes any sense. It was just kind of like, it's coming out during the pandemic. It doesn't count, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, we released an EP on in March of 2020, and we released a full length in July of 2021, and we didn't play live from 2019 to 2022. There was nothing. So I know exactly how you feel. Like, we put an album out, but it's like it doesn't count at all because we didn't.
Well, and that's the thing. My record came out in 19, and I never expected to have this long of a break between LPs, but between the label kind of dropping the ball during the pandemic and everything else, it's just like, you know, not having the funding because no one had money for a bit, and we weren't touring. And we're the type of band that we sell units by touring. You see us live, you like us, you buy the record on the spot. You know, we're not that type of band that, you know, that people are discovering in the record stores. Not yet, anyways. You know, so for us, it just didn't make sense to do it. But yeah, I think I'm still kind of on that weird train. And that's why right now, when I look at my Spotify Wrapped, a lot of the records on there, they are 2021 records, because I guess I'm still kind of playing catch up.
So me too. I mean, I'm still listening to a lot of stuff that I was like, well, that came out in 2020. I can't put this on this list. I can't, but yeah.
And you weren't really quite ready or in the mind space to listen to new music at that time, you know?
I mean, I was. I work from home in my day job, so I was just sitting around all day. It didn't change my day-to-day life that much. I work from home since 2010. So yeah, I listened to a ton of music, but yeah, there was still something different. Something felt off.
Oh, I've discovered more music since COVID started than ever. So
I think it's a personality thing.
Yeah,
Like,
just being like stuck kind of at home, like looking for something else to like dive into was definitely more because I started the podcast actually right before the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, I was just searching for new music to kind of dive into and new people to talk to online and all that stuff. So it definitely kickstarted a lot, I feel like, in that aspect. And I definitely did discover a lot of new music during the pandemic.
I remembered a lot of stuff I used to really like and then forgot about. Like I listened to a lot of 80s stuff, a lot of pop, a lot of that kind of like 80s, early 90s stuff.
Definitely. So I guess I'm the last one for my number one pick. Nobody's surprised.
Yeah, we all know where this is going.
Nobody's surprised. Anybody that knows me. So my Spotify Wrapped was 4 songs off this album and Weenie Ride by Steel Panther. And I still think that's hilarious and shows where my mental health was in 2022. My number one pick obviously had to be Mainstream Sellout by Machine Gun Kelly because that entire album was literally like just scattered through like my top 15 Spotify rap songs. I genuinely think I like this album more than the other pop punk album he did. I'm one of those weird fans that was a fan of him from like first album Lace Up, and kind of have followed him through until now. Obviously, Die in California was probably my favorite song off the record. It was a song he wrote with Travis Barker's son, Landon, and that song is just fucking insane to me. I just lyrically, I'm just like, oh shit, like that's really fucking deep. Sid and Nancy was kind of a cool, like, parody, kind of like quirky song that was on it. Drug Dealer with Lil Wayne was nuts. I obnoxiously listened to and even Jess, who did a road trip with me to Pittsburgh, can attest, I obnoxiously still listen to that song, and it's stupid, but, like, that's just, like, my driving song. It's like, okay, I'm getting tired, I need to put that on. But yeah, no, that album for me, I got the opportunity to shoot a couple of his shows on that tour, and it was absolutely an insane experience, and it was just that entire album and that tour was just it's a very fond memory, and I feel like a couple of years like from now, like I'm gonna look back on that album, I'm gonna be like, that album was like that summer album, it was fucking nuts. So that's my number one pick, and nobody's surprised.
Never would have seen that coming. Never would have seen that coming. You just swerved.
I was gonna put it at number 2, and then I was like, I saw like my Spotify Wrapped was like 4 songs off that album, and I was like, I can't put this at number 2. It's like, that's not fair to anybody. Oh my god. So obviously I had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that 2022 was not very kind to me, and I'm looking forward to 2023. Does anybody have any cool, I guess we'll start with Clay. Any cool things coming up in 2023 that you guys can talk about?
Yeah, with Cody Parks, we were releasing, I believe, in maybe the end of January, I believe, this new song we just tracked. Cause he hasn't released like albums and like EPs. He does singles throughout the year. And one that everybody loves when we play live is a song we call Thunder Cash 69. It's literally White Zombie's Thunder Kiss musically with a few variations and a couple guitar solos, but he sings Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison Blues over the top of it. So it's called Thunder Cash 69.
All right, I got to hear that.
It's we're gonna, I believe
it's pretty dope. I've seen some live videos of it, and it's really fucking dope.
Oh, it's and then we also do a mashup of Sold, the Grundy County auction by John Michael Montgomery, but the music is Cowboys from Hell in the background. And we do a mashup of that too. People love that. It's great.
Back to your Folsom County, Wage War just released an acoustic album with a cover of that on there. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not. I mean, it's like metalcore, but really good.
And we got some pretty cool shows that we haven't announced yet that's coming up too in the spring. And then with Beasto, they just got done recording some stuff, and we played a few of their new songs on the Kiss Cruise, and they're phenomenal. They're more Calico driven vocally, but they're just really just insanely good songs. They did such a great job with it.
I'm very excited for some new Beasto music, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you again on the road with them, because I know you obviously fill in with them whenever needed. But that's been a really cool. It's been cool kind of seeing them put out music again, kind of post pandemic. Seeing them get back out like everybody else, but like it was really cool to kind of see them be like, okay, they're back out doing shit. Like, okay, we're finally back out.
Yeah, that's really the only thing I got to do in 2020 was, well, right when the pandemic hit, we were on a tour bus. We were in St. Louis, and then we realized they're canceling everything after that. And I was like, well, hell, what am I going to do now? And then we did that live stream in LA, the Freak Stream, I think is what they called it, which was pretty cool. Then we went back out and did another one that never got released, but that was pretty much all I did besides sit at home and watch Trailer Park Boys. That's all I did. That's
fucking Trailer Park Boys, man. Core also binge watched that shit.
That's a great binge watch. I mean, that's like a show where, like, you know, probably every 3 winters, you know, you could just put on like the whole like 12 seasons and just, you know.
And what's really funny about that is on the Kiss cruise, the last night I actually hung out with Sebastian Bach like for a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't bring up anything about music. I started talking to him about him being on Trailer Park Boys. I just loved it. I thought it was so awesome. It was just perfect for that role that he played. And I think
fighting with people at the train convention, that was the best.
Smuggling cigarettes across the border with a toy train. Then he started just. We're at this dining room table in there, and he just starts shouting off some of his lines from the episodes, and it just made my life. Like, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened. I was like, I got him to start talking about Trailer Park Boys. So that's how I spent all of 2020. I was like, all right, it's great.
It's like Sebastian Bach screaming about Trailer Park Boys right now. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, he was just spouting off some of his lines. It was great.
That's great. That's great. Oh my God. So obviously Corey had mentioned that they're working on new music kind of going into next year and potentially new touring. Jess, do you have anything you want to mention for 2023?
I don't really have a whole lot planned right now. I know that we've got that DI Records, the festival, not the DI festival, but it's, you know, doing it.
The
with
Millville
DI.
Music Festival in Pittsburgh.
Millville
We'll be
one.
there.
I have
representing DI Records, which obviously Fall Harvest is on, which is kind of cool. But that is in the Pittsburgh area. So Jess and I will be there. I hopefully will be in one piece.
Yeah, let's hope. I prefer that. Other than that, I don't really have anything booked up. I've got to look and see what concerts are around. If it's anything, if I get to cover anything like what I got to cover in 2022, I won't bitch. I mean, I got to photograph Smokey freaking Robinson a few weeks ago. So, I mean, I couldn't really bitch about that. That dude's a legend. So if I get cool stuff like that, I won't really have much to complain about. Just do some of my other street photography kind of shit.
Be pretty lit. So Greg, do you have anything you want to mention that you're looking forward to in the new year?
Well, I'm hoping I can write more than one review next year. I can't really discuss Scarlet Sky things at the moment.
That's fair.
Looking forward to a few new albums that are coming out. Wasp is putting out a new one, supposedly. Avenged Sevenfold's coming out with a new one. I think Blacktop Mojo is working on some new shit. And I'm kind of looking for a side project. So that's about it.
To keep you entertained, hopefully something will pop up. I mean, I think everybody in the Ohio, Pittsburgh scene's always kind of looking for a bass player. So
yeah, I'm an old school kind of guy. Like, I grew up on like 80s and then power metal and progressive stuff, and I've never done anything that I'm actually influenced by, like as far as performing. So I kind of like need to get that knocked out of the way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like next year will be a good year to do that too, especially looking for a side project, you know?
Yeah, I'm getting old, so I mean, it's not much, you know. Not much.
Oh my God. Greg, I met Greg when I used to still sneak into bars in Steubenville, Ohio to go photograph bands. That's how long Greg's known me for. We're going to bring that story up real quick before I get out here.
Triple play?
Yeah, fucking triple. Oh god, yeah, that fucking
Sin.
cafe. Yeah, that place closed like a couple months after I started going there.
That place had the black room and the white room. It was great.
That place was so sus as hell, but it was great. That's where I started, man.
Maybe me and Core can go back and do another show together. He probably don't remember who I am. We did a we were CB Entertainment mates.
Oh, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we did South by South joke together, you know.
Oh my god, that year, right? With OTEP, right? Oh, that's right. You had
Defy the Tide.
You had the singer who wasn't wearing any shoes, right?
She probably didn't have shoes on.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And the scared little drum kit.
Yeah, but that place was cool though because they had the light sound boxes on the grill. You could hit the button and the lights would pop out. I kept working that the whole night. Yeah, that was all right. That was I know.
Yeah, we can have some CB Entertainment stories if you want.
Yeah, you gotta PM me on that. Yeah.
Oh my god. So obviously Fall Harvest is working on some new music, Joseph. I know about that. We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a new Fall Harvest album will be out next year. New single and video will be out on Friday, both on DI Records, as you mentioned. And yeah, as far as next year goes, that's the big one, but we'll have some stuff to announce soon. What is that creature, Jessica?
That is Reg.
This is Reggie.
Oh,
He needs to share your what were your favorite albums, Reggie?
We're showing off dogs again.
Is that a Frenchie?
Boston.
Okay, so I have a purebred boxer, but she's a sealed brindle, so she's got that same kind of color, and everyone takes her for a Frenchie when she was growing up.
Yeah, people call him a Frenchie all the time. I'm like, no, I'm glad he doesn't have a nose like a Frenchie, or else I'd really hate my life because of all the vet visits we'd probably need. Oh, that puppy was just like, nope, I don't want any part of this. And Reggie's like, I want to leave too.
Yeah, both of the dogs are like, we're done now. We're done.
Yeah, I have a purebred boxer and a boxer mastiff, both of which are not allowed in this room.
Gee, I wonder why.
Boxers cause problems. I had a boxer for about 11 years, and she definitely caused a lot of problems.
Boxer's gonna box.
That's what they do. That's definitely what they do. I'm looking forward to hopefully a much calmer 2023.
Yo, man, Zosha's on a really long Uber ride.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'm looking hopefully forward to a much calmer 2023, at least on certain fronts, and a busier professional front. I'm very excited for some stuff I have in the works I can't really talk about right now, but I'm definitely excited to get back out traveling and doing my photo stuff as usual. But thank you guys so much for coming on and talking with me tonight about all this stuff. This has been great, and I will definitely be bringing back some more live streams in the future. So thank you guys for coming on and talking with me.
You know you got me, fam.
Thanks for having me.
Bringing in the new year a little early. My coffee cup, my tea in it. Oh my god. Well, thank you guys again for coming on, and everybody, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Stay tuned on EMSU Media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for future episodes. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys later.
Peace.
Peace out.